Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your news edition. These are the headlines. The pride of Algerian Olympic champion Kylian Amour makes history by winning the silver medal on the balanced beam after winning the gold medal on the uneven bars at the World Gymnastics Championship in Jakarta. After 50 years, the self-determination referendum in Western Sahara is back. Al Khabar and L'Expression newspapers describe it as the only solution. The Moroccans keep protesting for their basic rights, such as social justice, and their demands are met with a brutal repression by the Makhzen police. A tree planting operation across the country to reinforce vegetation and counter desertification with 1 million trees of various kinds. Welcome back. Another success for the Algerian Olympic champion Kylian Amour. The Algerian Olympic champion made history as Africa's first World Gymnastics champion after winning in Jakarta the gold medal on the women's uneven bars. After this amazing achievement, the champion managed to win the silver medal on the balance beam with the score of 14.300. Congratulations to our champion. The president of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, congratulated on Saturday the Algerian world champion Kylian Amour for her achievements at the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships in Jakarta. He hailed her amazing performance, affirming that it's a moment of pride for Africa and that Kylian Amour is a symbol of excellency and success for the African talents and their rise at the international level. He added that this success will inspire a new generation of African talents to dream bigger. First ever gold medal in Africa for gymnastics. The Algerian star Kylian Amour strikes again, this time as a world champion for uneven bars, as an accomplishment that can only be praised by the international media. Manel Boubegara with the details.
Pone a hacer la salida doble en plancha, campeona del mundo clavado.
Lo clava, es que es excepcional. Excepcional, perfecta en las asimétricas, con una dificultad estratosférica. No nos cansamos de...
Kylian Amour reigns on even bars once more, this time during the World Artistic Gymnastics Championship at the Indonesia Arena in Jakarta, where she was crowned as a gold medalist. Barely 19 and already an Olympic champion, Kylian earned the public and the international media's heart, receiving a wave of love, support and congratulations for her latest victory. The Algerian gymnast's performance was nothing less than historic, as the international press qualified it. In France, Kylian has earned the title of the Queen of Uneven Bars due to her grace and precision. On BBC News, the athlete is now considered as an international reference for female gymnasts. As for the Arab world, Kylian is being celebrated on the continental level, becoming an inspiration for African and Arab athletes, as she is the first gymnast to ever earn a world golden medal in this continent. Indonesian press did not hold back, describing Kylian's performance as a perfect mid-air routine, praising her determination that is a true inspiration for the youth. Kylian Amour has surpassed all expectations. She is now an example of success and an ambassador for the values Algerian sports stand for. As for us, we can only wish our champion more success for the world to attest.
على عارضة التوازن أو خشبة التوازن رح يكون إذن الخروج بالسلق الخلفي.
Congratulations, Kylian Amour. Tasked by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the General Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Nunes Magraman, signed on Saturday in Hanoi in Vietnam, in the name of Algeria, the United Nations Convention on the Fight Against Cybercrime. This convention is the first international way for the fight against cybercrime, in which Algeria played a central role by chairing the ad hoc committee in charge of its elaboration and by leading the negotiations process since May 2021 that led to its adoption during the 79th session of the UN General Assembly on December 2024. 64 countries and regional organizations signed this convention. The ceremony was opened by the President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, Luong Truong, with the presence of the high-level delegations and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. 50 years after Hassan II accepted the principle of a referendum for the Sahrawi people, the Western Sahara issue resurfaces, this time driven by force rather than legitimacy. A major powers push to legitimize Morocco's occupation under UN cover. Algeria reaffirms its principled stance, rejecting any solution that undermines the Sahrawis' right to self-determination. More details with Daniel Bahri.
50 years ago, King Hassan II stood here to acknowledge the Sahrawi people's right to vote on their self-determination during the 1981 summit of the Organization of African Unity in Nairobi.
There was a broad consensus regarding Western Sahara, the need to organize a general and a regular referendum under the supervision of the United Nations and the Organization of African Unity. In this context, it was decided to establish an implementation commission tasked with moving forward with the practical application of the provisions of this regulation. Organizing a referendum and ensuring a ceasefire in a neighboring region, such as Western Sahara, is no simple task. Therefore, the Implementation Commission, composed of known countries, was asked to meet quickly before the end of August to develop the details and mechanisms for applying the ceasefire and the referendum, which, once again, would be general and regular.
Aussi avons-nous décidé d'envisager une procédure de référendum contrôlée.
We decided to consider a monitored referendum mechanism in line with the objectives and recommendations of the Committee of Experts and with our conviction of Morocco's legitimate rights. Whatever the cost, we reaffirm our sincere desire and firm will to keep Morocco an active and committed member of the Organization of African Unity, working tirelessly for the triumph of the principles enshrined in its charter.
50 years later, the Western Sahara issue resurfaces, driven by the logic of power rather than legitimacy, as the UN moves toward a resolution favoring Morocco's sovereignty. Algeria firmly rejects any text that legitimizes occupation or undermines the right to self-determination. Al Khabar newspaper said that Algeria won't support any plan that gives Morocco control over Western Sahara. Algeria believes the only fair solution is a free and honest referendum. The article said the autonomy plan is just another way to keep the occupation. It also criticized the big powers for breaking the UN's rules and using force instead of fairness. Morocco, it said, is trying to hold power with outside help while facing problems inside the country. The article ended by saying real peace can only come from respecting people's right to choose their own future. Meanwhile, L'Expression newspaper presented the issue in French, offering a deeper analysis. It affirmed that the Western Sahara conflict is a confrontation between the logic of power and the logic of legitimacy, the latter embodied by the Sahrawi people through their history, rights, and international values. The newspaper added that attempts to impose the Moroccan plan on the Sahrawi people in exchange for economic promises and negotiated self-determination are nothing but fragile political deals built on shifting sands. It stressed that Algeria won't vote for any national resolution legitimizing Morocco's occupation of Western Sahara and will remain faithful to the principle of the referendum. The newspaper concluded that the current proposals do not represent genuine peace, but rather a false peace, since peace cannot endure when built on unjust agreements.
In Blida province, chestnut and oak trees were planted in Blili with a strong community support. Meanwhile, Oran province launched its own drive, planted over 12,000 trees. The key challenge now is ensuring their growth and preservation. And Atiyar with the details.
The national campaign to plant 1 million trees kicked off in Blida province. From the early hours, the students, families and volunteers gathered with enthusiasm, shovels and seedlings in hand, to launch this major reforestation drive aimed at restoring green spaces and combating the climate change. For this day, we've mobilized our teams with more than 16,000 plants, including both forest and fruit trees, which will be planted across several areas of this province. Through 5 different sites, this initiative also serves an opportunity to raise awareness among people, helping them become future leaders who will care for and preserve the environment, all in the spirit of sustainable development. The durability of natural resources remains our main concern.
We came here as a family to plant trees and above all to raise awareness among children. We want them to understand that the forest is the strength of nature, the strength of our world. If the forest disappears, the entire balance of life disappears with it. Trees have a vital and positive impact. They produce oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide. We must all join our efforts to contribute together to the development of our country.
The campaign expanded to Iran, where students and volunteers, guided by the Iran Forestry Directorate, planted hundreds of trees at the University of Science and Technology, promoting awareness and greener spaces for future generations.
I wanted to teach my daughter about the importance of the trees and the environment and show her how to take care of them after planting. I'm happy to be here with my dad. He taught me well how to plant all trees. Our people are capable of great things. If we can plant 1 million trees, we can achieve anything together. Today we launched the 1 million trees campaign here in Oran. We plan to plant nearly 130,000 trees with the participation of the entire community. We need to teach our children this so that it becomes a tradition and so that Algeria always remains green.
Through this initiative, Blida and Iran reaffirmed their green commitment, a powerful symbol of renewal and unity. What began as a local effort will hopefully continue across many other provinces, carrying a nationwide message of hope and responsibility. Each tree planted stands as a promise for a greener, more sustainable Algeria.
The former general director of the Algerian press agency, Badr Mili, died at the age of 81. During his career, the deceased held several positions. He was notably the editor-in-chief of the third Algerian radio channel and the director of the audiovisual communication at the Ministry of Information and Culture back then, as well as mission manager at the Presidency of the Republic. The departed also published several books on history and the National Liberation Revolution. In this painful circumstance, the general director of the press agency, Samir Gaid, expressed his condolences to the family of the deceased, praying Allah Almighty to bestow His mercy upon his soul. The Moroccan streets are still witnessing social anger. The mobilization launched by the youth denounces the serious lack of public services and protests for basic rights. But these demands are met with brutal repression. More details with Manal Boubagra.
Morocco's pain seeps into the cracks as the wounds caused by the severe poverty and the constant fight for dignity have become too apparent to conceal. The people are crushing under the weight of a life that is too heavy to bear. Spreading slums, stagnating sewage and damaged roads show the misery that becomes furthermore visible and reflects the journey of survival for many families. The public's cry for help is still faced with a resonating silence from Al Makhzen's end, more concerned by its appearance rather than the distress of its people.
Look at this team of sewage. It's all we have here. If they take this away, we'll have nothing left. We live in misery, no drinking water, no electricity, and the few infrastructure around are damaged and neglected.
Across the country, anger is mounting. In many Moroccan cities, demands are multiplying as an exasperated population asks for justice, dignity and change. But these demands are met with repression, arbitrary arrests and intimidation. Freedom of expression that once was promised is now nothing more than an empty promise. Under the weight of inequality and Roman anger, the kingdom's veneer is cracking, as an exhausted society is still trying to stand tall despite poverty, fear, and the indifference of those in power.
France's deepening economic and social instability is fueling division and strengthening the far-right narratives that target minorities. Najah Tiyar has the details.
As economic uncertainty and widening inequalities fuel concerns over national cohesion, France is facing mounting social and political tension. The 2025 budget law, already under fire, has intensified doubts about the government's ability to respond effectively. According to the Ministry of the Interior, more than 9,700 racially or religiously motivated crimes were recorded in 2024, a 10% increase from the previous year. Human rights groups warn that discrimination has become deeply rooted, extending beyond workplaces and suburbs to include police violence and social pressure on minorities. What strikes me most in the political debate surrounding the French crisis is that it's a serious matter, because the problem is that France is becoming once again what it was in 1958, the sick man of Europe. It's truly worrying. You are trying to impose on the labor world the burden of 4.5 million workers in this country who are forced to live in indecent conditions, a return to the 19th century with miserable wages. And when we bring this up, you laugh, but this can't go anymore. Do you really find that funny? Of course you do. The growing economic fragility in France has provided fertile ground for the populist and far-right rhetoric, which channels social frustration and anger toward particular groups, most notably immigrants and Muslims.
Despite a ceasefire agreement, the Zionist entity keeps bombing Gaza and blocking any humanitarian aid from entering the enclave. After 2 years of genocide, Gaza became a ghost town. Everything has been destroyed. Today, the Palestinian children can go to school, and those who survived can go to hospitals because the education and health systems have collapsed following the daily Zionist bombings. According to some released Palestinian hostages, they have suffered precarious conditions of detention. And with this, we come to the end of our edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a good night.